9 of the afternoon.
You do.
Okay.
Okay. We're setting up your webinar for YouTube. And yes, okay. Oh, well. So it's, I believe it's live. Yes, okay. Welcome. My name's Paul Sugarman for the Instant Shakespeare Company, and we're presenting a special project today, a reading with the Shaw Project, Tomfooleries, 3 Shaw one-act plays put together by David Cedar. So David, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves for this 3 different plays, 3 different sets of characters. So let's introduce ourselves for How He Lied to Her Husband. And that's only involves 3 of you. So the 3 of you, speak up. Start with Deborah.
Hi, I'm Deborah Whitfield, and I'm playing Aurora Bumpus.
Drew.
I'm Drew Bolander, and I'm going to be reading Henry Apjohn.
And Ben.
I'm Bennett Pology, and I'll be Mr. Bumpus, Theodore Bumpus.
Okay, now I am going to take myself out visually and then read the introduction to the play. It is 8 o'clock in the evening. The curtains are drawn and the lamps lighted in the drawing room of her flat in Cromwell Road. Her lover, a beautiful youth of 18, in evening dress and cape, with a bunch of flowers and an opera hat in his hands, comes in alone. The door is near the corner, and as he appears in the doorway, he has the fireplace and the nearest wall to his right, and the grand piano along the opposite wall to his left. Near the fireplace, a small ornamental table has on it a hand mirror, a fan, a pair of long white gloves, and a little white woolen cloud to wrap a woman's head in. On the other side of the room, near the piano, is a broad, square, softly upholstered stool. The room is furnished in the most approved South Kensington fashion. That is, it is as like a shop window as possible, and is intended to demonstrate the social position and spending powers of its owners, and not in the least to make them comfortable.
At last.
Henry, something dreadful has happened.
What's the matter?
I have lost your poems.
Oh, they were unworthy of you. I will write you some more.
No, thank you. Never any more poems for me. Oh, how could I have been so mad, so rash, so imprudent?
Oh, thank heavens for your madness, your rashness, your imprudence.
Oh, be sensible, Henry. Can't you see what a terrible thing this is for me? Suppose anybody finds these poems. What will they think?
They will think that a man once loved a woman more devotedly than ever man loved woman before, but they will not know who that man is.
What good is that to me if everybody will know what woman it was?
But how will they know?
How will they know? Huh. Why, my name is all over them. My silly, unhappy name. Oh, if I'd only been christened Mary Jane, or Gladys Muriel, or Beatrice, or Francesca, or Guinevere, or something quite common. But Aurora. Aurora. I'm the only Aurora in London, and everybody knows it. I believe I'm the only Aurora in the world. And it's so horribly easy to rhyme to it. Oh, Henry, why didn't you restrain your feelings a little in common consideration for me? Why didn't you write with some little reserve?
Write poems to you with reserve? You ask me that?
Yes, dear, of course it was very nice of you, and I know it was my own fault as much as yours. I ought to have noticed that your verses ought never to have been addressed to a married woman.
Ah, how I wish they'd been addressed to an unmarried woman. How I wish they had.
Indeed, you have no right to wish anything of the sort. They are quite unfit for anybody but a married woman. That's just the difficulty. What will my sisters-in-law think of them?
Have you got sisters-in-law?
Well, yes, of course I have. Do you suppose I'm an angel?
I do. Heaven help me, I do. I did, or I...
Oh, listen to me, dear. It's very nice of you to live with me in a dream and to love me and so on. But I can't help my husband having disagreeable relatives, can I?
Of course, they're your husband's relatives. I forgot that. Forgive me, Aurora.
The fact is, Teddy's got nothing but relatives. He has 8 sisters and 6 half-sisters and ever so many brothers. But I don't mind his brothers. Now, if you only knew the least little thing about the world, Henry, you'd know that in a large family, though the sisters quarrel with one another like mad all the time, yet let one of the brothers marry, and they all turn on their unfortunate sister-in-law and devote the rest of their lives with perfect unanimity to persuading him that his wife is unworthy of him. They can do it to her very face without her knowing it, because there are always a lot of stupid, low family jokes that nobody understands but themselves. Half the time you can't tell what they're talking about. It just drives you wild. There ought to be a law against a man's sister ever entering his house after he's married. I'm as certain as I'm sitting here that Georgina stole those poems out of my workbox.
Well, she will not understand them, I think.
Oh, won't she? She'll understand them only too well. She'll understand more harm than ever was in them. Nasty, vulgar-minded cat.
Oh, don't think of people in that way. Don't think of her at all. Aurora, do you remember the evening when I sat here at your feet and read you those poems for the first time?
But I shouldn't have let you. I see that now. When I think of Georgina sitting there at Teddy's feet and reading them to him for the first time, I feel I shall just go distracted.
Yes, you're right. It will be a profanation.
Oh, I don't care about the profanation. But what will Teddy think? What would he do? You don't seem to think a bit about Teddy.
Now, to me, Teddy is nothing, and Georgina, less than nothing.
You'll soon find out how much less than nothing she is. If you think a woman can't do any harm because she's only a scandal-mongering dowdy ragbag, you're greatly mistaken. Henry, help me. Find a way out of this for me, and I'll bless you as long as I live. Oh, how wretched I am.
And oh, how happy I am.
Don't be selfish.
Oh, yes, I deserve that. But I think if I were going to the stake with you, I should be so happy with you that I could hardly feel your danger more than my own.
Oh, you are a dear darling boy, Henry. But you're no use. I want somebody to tell me what to do.
Your heart will tell you at the right time. I have thought deeply over this, and I know what we two must do, sooner or later.
No, Henry. I will do nothing improper, nothing dishonorable.
If you did, you would no longer be my Aurora. Of course, our course is perfectly simple, perfectly straightforward, perfectly stainless and true. We love one another. I'm not ashamed of that. I am ready to go out and proclaim it to all London as simply as I will declare it to your husband when you see, as soon you will see, that this is the only way honorable enough for your feet to tread. Let us go out together to our own house this evening without concealment and without shame. Remember, we owe something to your husband. We are his guests here. He is an honorable man. He has been kind to us. He has perhaps loved you as well as his prosaic nature and his sordid commercial environment permitted. We owe it to him in all honor not to let him learn the truth from the lips of a scandalmonger. Let us go to him now, quietly, hand in hand, bid him farewell, and walk out of the house without concealment and subterfuge, freely and honestly, in full honor and self-respect.
And where shall we go to?
We shall not depart by a hair's breadth from the ordinary natural current of our lives. We were going to the theatre when the loss of the poems compelled us to take action at once. We shall go to the theatre still. But we shall leave your diamonds here, for we cannot afford diamonds, and you do not need them.
I have told you already that I hate diamonds, only Teddy insists on hanging me all over with them. You need not preach simplicity to me.
I never thought of doing so, dearest. I know that these trivialities are nothing to you. What was I saying? Oh, yes. Instead of coming back here from the theatre, you will come with me to my home. Now from henceforth, our home, and in due course of time, when you are divorced, we shall go through whatever idle legal ceremony you may desire. I attach no importance to the law. That my love was not created in me by the law, nor can it be bound or loosed by it. That is simple enough and sweet enough, is it not? Here are your flowers for you. I have the tickets. We will ask your husband to lend us the carriage to show that there's no malice, no grudge between us. Come.
Teddy isn't in yet.
Well, let us take that calmly. Let us go to the theatre as if nothing had happened and tell him when we come back. Now or 3 years hence, today or tomorrow, what does it matter, provided that all is done in honor without shame or fear.
What did you get tickets for? Lohengrin?
I tried, but Lohengrin was sold out for tonight.
Then what did you get?
Can you ask me? What is there besides Lohengrin that we two could endure except Candida?
Candida? No, I won't go to it again, Henry. Oh, it is that play that has done all the mischief. I'm very sorry I ever saw it. It ought to be stopped.
Aurora!
Yes, I mean it.
The divinest love poem? The poem that gave us the courage to speak to one another? That revealed to us that what we really felt for another?
Just so. It put a lot of stuff into my head that I should never have dreamt of for myself. I imagined myself just like Candida.
You were right. You are like Candida.
Oh, stuff. And I thought you were just like Eugene. Now that I come to look at you, you are rather like him, too.
Aurora, if Candida had loved Eugene, she would have gone out into the night with him without a moment's hesitation.
Henry, do you know what's wanting in that play?
There is nothing wanting in it.
Yes, there is. There's a Georgina wanting in it. If Georgina had been there to make trouble, that play would have been a true-to-life tragedy. Now, I'll tell you something about it that I have never told you before.
What is that?
I took Teddy to it. I thought it would do him good, and so it would if I could only have kept him awake. Georgina came too, and you should have heard the way she went on about it. She said it was downright immoral, and that she knew the sort of woman that encourages boys to sit on the hearthrug and make love to her. She was just preparing Teddy's mind to poison it about me.
Let us be just to Georgina, dearest.
Let her deserve it first. Just to Georgina, indeed.
Well, she really sees the world in that way. That is her punishment.
How can it be her punishment when she likes it? It'll be my punishment when she brings that budget of poems to Teddy. I wish you'd have some sense and sympathize with my position a little.
My dear, I really don't care about Georgina or about Teddy. All these squabbles belong to a plane on which I am, as you say, no use. I have counted the cost, and I do not fear the consequences. After all, what is there to fear? Where is the difficulty? What can Georgina do? What can your husband do? What can anybody do?
Do you mean to say that you propose that we should walk right bang up to Teddy and tell him we're going away together?
Yes. What could be simpler?
And do you think for a moment he'd stand it like that half-baked clergyman in the play? He'd just kill you.
Oh, You don't understand these things, my darling. How could you? In one respect, I am unlike the poet in that play. I have followed the Greek ideal and not neglected the culture of my body. Your husband would make a tolerable second-rate heavyweight if he were in training and 10 years younger. As it is, he could, if strung to a great effort by a burst of passion, give a good account of himself for perhaps 15 seconds, but I am active enough to keep out of his reach for 15 seconds. And after that, I should be simply all over him.
What do you mean by all over him?
Don't ask me, dearest. At all events, I swear to you that you need not be anxious about me.
And what about Teddy? Do you mean to tell me that you're going to beat Teddy before my face like a brutal prize fighter?
All this alarm is needless, dearest. Believe me, nothing will happen. Your husband knows what I am capable of defending myself. Under such circumstances, nothing ever does happen. And of course, I shall do nothing. The man who once loved you is sacred to me.
Doesn't he love me still? Has he told you anything?
No, dearest. How agitated you are. How unlike yourself you are. All these worries belong to a lower plane. Come with me up to the higher one. The heights, the solitudes, the soul world.
No. Stop. It's no use, Mr. Apjohn.
Mr. Apjohn?
Excuse me, I meant Henry, of course.
And how could you even think of me as Mr. Apjohn? I never think of you as Mrs. Bumpus. I always think of you as Aurora. Aurora, my Aurora.
Yes, that's all very well, Mr. Apjohn. No, it's no use. I've suddenly begun to think of you as Mr. Apjohn, and it's ridiculous to go on calling you Henry. I thought you were only a boy, a child, a dreamer. I thought you would be too much afraid to do anything. And now you want to beat Teddy and to break up my home and disgrace me and make a horrible scandal in the papers? It's cruel, unmanly, cowardly.
Are you afraid?
Of course I'm afraid. So would you be if you had any common sense.
Perfect love casteth out fear. That is why I am not afraid. Mrs. Bumpus, you do not love me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you really can be very nice, Henry.
Why do you thank me?
For calling me Mrs. Bumpus again. I feel now that you're going to be reasonable and behave like a gentleman. What's the matter?
Once or twice in my life, I've dreamed that I was exquisitely happy and blessed, but the misgiving at the first stir of consciousness, the stab of reality, the prison walls of the bedroom, the bitter, bitter disappointment of waking. And this time, I thought I was awake.
Listen to me, Henry. We really haven't time for all that sort of flapdoodle now. Oh, take care. You nearly hit me in the chin with the top of your head.
I beg your pardon. What is it you want me to do? I am at your service. I am ready to behave like a gentleman if you will be kind enough to explain exactly how.
Thank you, Henry. I was sure you would. You're not angry with me, are you?
Go on, quickly. Give me something to think about, or I will... Oh,
no, don't break my fan. No, don't. No, really, that's a stupid trick. I don't like that. You've no right to do that. Oh, how could you be so inconsiderate?
I beg your pardon. I will buy you a new one.
You will never be able to match it. And it was a particular favorite of mine.
Well, then you will have to do without it, that's all.
That's not a very nice thing to say after breaking my pet fan, I think.
Oh, if you knew how near I was to breaking Teddy's pet wife and presenting him with the pieces, you would be thankful that you are alive instead of of howling about 5 shillings worth of ivory. Damn your fan.
Oh, don't you dare swear in my presence. One would think you were my husband.
Oh, this is some horrible dream. What has become of you? You are not my Aurora.
Oh, well, if you come to that, what has become of you? Do you think I would ever have encouraged you if I'd known you were such a little devil?
Don't drag me down. Don't. Help me to find a way back to the heights.
If you would only be reasonable, Henry. If you would only remember that I'm on the brink of ruin and not go on calmly saying it's all quite simple.
It seems so to me.
If you say that again, I shall do something I'll be sorry for. Here we are, standing on the edge of a frightful precipice. No doubt it's quite simple to go over and have done with it, but can't you suggest anything more agreeable?
I can suggest nothing now. A chill black darkness has fallen, and I can see nothing but the ruins of our dream.
Can't you? Well, I can. I can see Georgina rubbing those poems into Teddy. And I tell you, Henry Apton, that you got me into this mess, and you must get me out of it again.
All I can say is that I'm entirely at your service. What do you wish me to do?
Do you know anybody else named Aurora?
No.
There's no use saying no in that frozen pig-headed way. You must know some Aurora or other somewhere.
You said that you were the only Aurora in the world, and oh God, you were the only Aurora in the world to me.
Oh, yes, dear, of course. Oh, it's very nice of you, and I appreciate it. Indeed, I do, but it's not reasonable just at present. Now, just listen to me. I suppose you know all those poems by heart?
Yes, by heart. Don't you?
Well, I never can remember verses, and besides, I've been so busy that I've not had time to read them all, though I intend to the very moment I can get. I promise you that most faithfully, Henry. But now, try and remember very particularly, does the name Bumpus occur in any of the poems?
No.
You're quite sure?
Of course I'm quite sure. How can I use such a name in a poem?
Well, I don't see why not. It rhymes to rumpus, which it seems appropriate enough at present, goodness knows. However, you're a poet and you ought to know.
What does it matter now?
It matters a lot, I can tell you. If there's nothing about Bumpus in the poems, we can say that they were written to some other Aurora and that you showed them to me because my name is Aurora too. So you've got to invent another Aurora for the occasion.
Oh, if you wish me to tell a lie...
Surely as a man of honor, as a gentleman, you wouldn't tell the truth, would you?
Very well. You've broken my spirit and desecrated my dreams. I will lie and protest and stand on my honor. Oh, I will play the gentleman, never fear.
Yes, put it all on me, of course. Don't be mean, Henry.
Oh, you are quite right, Mrs. Bumpus. I beg your pardon. You must excuse my temper. I have growing pains, I think.
Growing pains?
The process of growing from romantic boyhood into cynical maturity usually takes 15 years. When it is compressed into 15 minutes, the pace is too fast and growing pains are the result.
Oh, is this a time for cleverness? It's settled, isn't it? That you're going to be nice and good and that you'll brazen it out to Teddy that you have some other Aurora.
Yes, I am capable of anything now. I should not have told him the truth by halves, and now I will not lie by halves. I'll wallow in the honor of a gentleman.
Dearest boy, I knew you would. Shh.
What is it?
It's Teddy. I hear him tapping the new barometer. He can't have anything serious on his mind, or he wouldn't do that. Perhaps Georgina hasn't said anything. Try and look as if there was nothing the matter. Give me my gloves. Quick. Go further away from me. Quick. If I button my glove and you were to hum a tune, don't you think that would...
The tableau would be complete in its guiltiness. For heaven's sake, Mrs. Bumpus, let that glove alone. You look like a pickpocket.
Hello? I thought you two were at the theatre.
I felt anxious about you, Teddy. Why didn't you come home to dinner?
Well, I got a message from Georgina. She wanted me to go to her.
Poor dear Georgina. I'm sorry I haven't been able to call on her this last week. I hope there's nothing the matter with her.
Oh, nothing except anxiety for my welfare and yours. By the way, Apjohn, I should like a word with you this evening, if Aurora can spare you for a moment.
I am at your service.
No, Harry, after the theatre will do.
We have decided not to go.
Oh, indeed. Well, then, shall we adjourn to my snuggery?
You needn't move. I shall go and lock up my diamonds since I'm not going to the theatre. Give me my things.
Ah, well, we shall have more room here.
I think I should prefer plenty of room.
So, if it's not disturbing you, Rory?
Not at all.
Ah. Do these manuscripts seem at all familiar to you, may I ask?
Manuscripts?
Yes. Would you like to look at them a little closer?
Why, these are my poems.
So I gather.
Oh, what a shame. Mrs. Bumpus has shown them to you. You must think me an utter arse. I wrote them years ago after reading Swinburne's Songs Before Sunrise. Nothing would do me then, but I must reel off a set of Songs of Sunrise. Aurora, you know, the rosy-fingered Aurora. They are all about Aurora. And when Mrs. Bumpus told me her name was Aurora, I couldn't resist the temptation to lend them to her to read, but I didn't bargain for your unsympathetic eyes.
Apjohn, that's really very ready of you. You are cut out for literature. And one day, and the day will come, when Rory and I will be proud to have you about the house. I have heard far thinner stories from much older men.
Do you mean to imply that you don't believe me?
Do you expect me to believe you?
Why not? I don't understand.
Oh, come. Don't underrate your own cleverness, Apjohn. I think you understand pretty well.
I assure you I'm quite at a loss. Can you be a little more explicit?
Oh, don't overdo it, old chap. However, I will just be so far explicit as to say that if you think that these poems read as if they were addressed not to a live woman, but to a shivering cold time of day at which you were never out of bed in your life, you hardly do justice to your own literary powers, which I admire and appreciate, mind you, as much as any man. Come, own up. You wrote these poems to my wife. Well, of course you did.
Oh. Mr. Bumpus, I pledge you on my word, you are mistaken. I need not tell you that Mrs. Bumpus is a lady of stainless honor who has never cast an unworthy thought on me. The fact that she has shown you my poems might...
That's not a fact. No, I came by them without her knowledge. She didn't show them to me.
Oh, does that not prove their perfect innocence? She would have shown them to you at once if she had taken your quite unfounded view of them.
Apjohn, play fair. Don't abuse your intellectual gifts. Do you really mean that I'm making a fool of myself?
Believe me, you are. I assure you, on my honor as a gentleman, that I have never had the slightest feeling for Mrs. Bumpus beyond the ordinary esteem and regard of a pleasant acquaintance.
Oh, indeed.
I should never have dreamt of writing poems to her. The thing is absurd.
Why is it absurd?
Well, it happens that I don't admire Mrs. Bumpus in that way.
Let me tell you that Mrs. Bumpus has been admired by better men than you soapy little-headed puppy, you.
There is no need to insult me like this. I assure you on the honor as a gentleman that I
And you don't admire Mrs. Bumpus? You would never dream of writing poems to Mrs. Bumpus? My wife's not good enough for you, is she? Who are you, pray, that you should be so jolly superior?
Mr. Bumpus, I can make allowances for your jealousy, but what I
Jealousy? You suppose I'm jealous of you? No, nor of 10 like you. But if you think I'll stand here and let you insult my wife in her own house, you're very much mistaken.
How can I convince you? Be reasonable. I tell you, my relations with Mrs. Bumpus are relations of perfect coldness, of indifference.
Say it again. Say it again. You're proud of it, aren't you? You're not worth kicking.
No, look here. I will not stand to this.
Oh, you have some blood in your body after all. Good job.
Well, this is ridiculous. I assure you, Mrs. Bumpus is...
What is Mrs. Bumpus to you, I'd like to know? I'll tell you what Mrs. Bumpus is. She is the smartest woman in the smartest set in South Kensington, and the handsomest, and the cleverest, and the most fetching to experienced men who know a good thing when they see it. Whatever she may be to conceited, penny-aligning puppies who think nothing is good enough for them, it's admitted by the best people, and not to know it argues yourself unknown. 3 of our first actor managers have offered her $100 a week if she'd go on the stage when they start a repertory theater. And I think they know what they're about as well as you. The only member of the present cabinet that you might call a handsome man has neglected the business of the country to dance with her, although he don't belong to our set as a regular thing. And one of the first professional poets in Bedford Park wrote a sonnet to her, worth all your amateur trash. At Ascot last season, the eldest son of a duke excused himself from calling on me on the ground that his feeling for Mrs. Bumpus were not consistent with his duty to me as host, and it did him honor, and me too. But she isn't good enough for you, it seems. You regard her with coldness, with indifference, and you have the cool cheek to tell me so to my face. But for 2 fins, I'd flatten your nose to teach you manners. Introducing a fine woman to you is casting pearls before swine. Before swine, do you hear?
You call me swine again, and I'll land you one on the chin that'll make your head sing for a week.
What?
Ow! No, you shan't, Teddy, you shan't. You will be killed. He is a prize fighter.
I'll prize fight him.
Henry, don't let him fight. You promise me that you won't.
I've got the most frightful bump on the back of my head.
No, not until you've promised. Not until you both have promised. Teddy, you promise, don't you? Yes, be good, you promise.
I won't unless he takes it back.
He will. He does. You take it back, Henry, yes?
Yes, I take it back. I take it all back without reserve.
Is nobody going to help me up?
Oh.
Now, won't you shake hands and be good?
I shall do nothing of the sort. I have steeped myself in lies for your sake, and the only reward I get is a lump on the back of my head the size of an apple. Now I will go back to the straight path.
Henry, for heaven's sake.
It's no use. Your husband is a fool and a brute.
What's that you say?
I say you're a fool and a brute, and if you'll step outside with me, I'll say it again. I wrote them because I love her. I thought her the most beautiful woman in the world, and I told her so over and over again. I adored her. Do you hear? I told her that you were a sordid commercial chump, utterly unworthy of her, and so you are.
You don't mean it.
Yes, I do mean it and a lot more. I asked Mrs. Bumpus to walk out of the house with me, to leave you, to get divorced from you and marry me. I begged and implored her to do it this very night. It was her refusal of that ended everything between us. What she can see in you, goodness only knows.
My dear chap, why didn't you say so before? I apologize. Come, don't bear matters. Shake hands. Well, make him shake hands, Rory.
For my sake, Henry. After all, he's my husband. Forgive him. Take his hand.
You've got to own that none of your literary heroines can touch my Rory, eh, Rory? Can't resist you. None of them. Never knew a man that could hold out 3 days.
Don't be foolish, Teddy.
Oh.
I hope you are not really hurt, Henry. Oh, poor boy, what a bump. I must get some vinegar and brown paper.
Would you do me a great favor, Apjohn? I hardly like to ask, but it would be a real kindness to us both.
But what can I do?
Well, may I get these printed? I mean, it should be done in the best style. Finest paper, sumptuous binding, everything first class. They're beautiful poems. I should like to show them about a bit.
Oh, Henry, if you wouldn't mind.
No, I don't mind. I am past minding anything. I have grown too fast this evening.
How old are you, Henry?
This morning I was 18. Now Oh, confound it, I am quoting that beast of a play.
Well, what should we call the volume? To Aurora or something like that, eh?
I should call it How He Lied to Her Husband.
And curtain. Let's all take a 6-minute break and be back at 2.
Whatever our clock says +6, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay.
What a silly play.
I love this play.
Me too. I forgot it. Were you in it when we did it?
Tomfoolery. Yeah, it was the 3 of us last
Yeah,
time.
the 3 of us.
We did that. Did we memorize it? Was it on its feet or was it a reading? I forgot.
We recorded it for the radio podcast.
But I think we also did it on its feet before that, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought so.
For a Shaw Project reading?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debbie, you're adorable.
Oh,
No.
thank you. I just love this play.
You guys were like, you're on my screen here. You guys were so real. It's amazing because usually these things are always a little bit, a little artificial, you know, faces in a camera. It's great. It's like watching a TV show. Yeah, I was really
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a fun one. I'd love to revisit this when we are up to memorizing things and staging.
Yeah, it'd be nice to really stage and have some fun with. And
all these there's a lot of 1-acts that are great that we have in our arsenal.
Totally agree. Village Wooing is another really funny one.
Yeah.
Village Wooing, is that Shaw?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, we did that a long time ago. Oh my God, Patrick Conlon directed it. I was in it. I think it was Aichi too.
Was what?
David would know. Yeah.
What is that word you said?
Oh, Jeffrey Aichi. Did you know him, Drew?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't.
Drew wasn't around back then. Yeah.
Oh, he
Right.
was a stalwart. But first of all, he was a great guy. Really wonderful Shavian actor. So much fun.
Just about the best Shakespeare actor I've ever seen, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, Jeffrey, and lovely person, and
Yeah.
gone too soon, gone way too soon.
Hmm.
I was at his apartment for his sort of final party. He had people over to witness various signatures he had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew he was going. He was such a mensch. He seemed so brave about it.
Oh, he used to make beer, remember? In his
No,
apartment.
he made beer. I know that the other guy, the big bald guy who plays the tuba, he used to make beer.
Oh, you mean do you mean Alan Gilbert?
Yeah, he
Alan-
made beer.
I don't think he plays the tuba. I think he played the French.
Whatever. He's in Honk, that
Yeah.
band. Anyway, he makes beer. Jeffrey did as well. I didn't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so, right, David? That's my memory.
Sorry, say that again.
That Jeff did, he made beer in his apartment. I remember being over there once and he offered me some beer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've offered beer to people in my apartment. Doesn't mean I make it.
Yeah, true. There you go.
I missed that event. I think I couldn't be there for some reason.
That was a long time ago.
I was in the apartment a few times for rehearsals. I don't remember seeing that stuff, you know, the beer setups.
Yeah,
Maybe he did.
yeah.
Is Alan Gilbert still around? I never hear from him.
It's a good question.
Dave,
Sorry.
is Alan Gilbert still around? I never hear from him.
As far as I know, he is. Yeah.
He never does these things?
I haven't seen him in a long time. He's got a little, he's got a brass quintet or something like that that he works with quite a bit.
Do you ever invite him to be in these readings?
I haven't. Last few times I invited him, he was too busy, couldn't do it. So I kind of I gave up on it. But yeah, I'd love to have him in a reading.
So I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell. I'm not in the other two, right? I'm just double checking, right, Dave?
You're correct.
Because that's my fear. I'm going to leave and be like, ah. All right, break legs, everybody. And
Wonderful work, Deborah. Lovely
Thank
to see
you. You too. Back at you.
Work.
Ciao.
Bye.
Okay, so if you're here, Jonathan, you're there, right? Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, we are now moving on to something completely different, as they used to say in Monty Python. And this is called The Fascinating Foundling. And basically, Shaw wrote this play as a joke for some occasion. I don't remember what the occasion was, but he called it one of his Tomfooleries, which is why I'm calling this afternoon Tomfoolery. And so I will read the opening paragraph as an introduction, and we'll go from there. Morning. Office of the Lord Chancellor. Door on the right leading to his private room near the fireplace. Door on the left leading to the public staircase. Mercer, an elderly clerk seated at work. Enter to him through the public door Horace Brabazon, a smart and beautiful young man of 19, dressed in the extremity of fashion with a walking stick.
I want to see the Lord Chancellor.
Have you an appointment?
No.
Well, then you can't see the Lord Chancellor.
I tell you, I must see him.
I tell you, you can't. Look here. Do you think the Lord Chancellor's a palmist or a hair doctor that people can rush in out of the street and see him whenever they want to?
That speech was meant to insult and humiliate me. I make it a rule to fight people who attempt to insult and humiliate me. Put up your hands.
Here, you leave me alone. You leave this office, do you hear, or I'll have the police in on you.
No, you are face to face with your destiny, and your destiny is to fight me. Be quick. I am going to begin. Oh, don't look pale. I scorn to take you by surprise. I shall lead off with my left on your right eye. Put him up.
Well, I ain't going to fight you. Let me alone, will you? I said nothing to you.
A liar and a slave. Fight, I tell you, fight.
Oh, was there ever the like of this? Don't make so much noise.
I am making it on purpose. I want you to fight because it'll make more noise than anything else. The Lord Chancellor will come to see what the noise is all about. If only it's loud enough. Time!
Oh, would you? You come near me and I'll split your head open with this poker, I will.
Oh, lay on, Macduff, and damned be he that first cries hold. Enough!
What's this? Who is this gentleman?
The Lord Chancellor, good. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence. My lord, I have called on professional business in the matter of Brabazon, an infant.
If you are a solicitor, sir, you must be aware that this is not the proper way to approach the court.
I approach you as a father of all the orphans in Chancery.
Sir.
Don't fly out, I'll explain everything. You remember the matter of Brabazon, an infant? Come now, frankly, as man to man, you do remember the matter of Brabazon, an infant?
There is such a case, I believe.
Of course there is. Well, I'm the infant. I'm Brabazon. I call thee Hamlet, king, father, royal Dane. Wilt thou not answer me? You see now, don't you?
You are young Horace Brabazon, are you?
I am, my lord. Such is life.
and you are a ward of the court, and you have systematically disobeyed every order made in your case.
The orders were unreasonable, fatuous, in fact.
Sir.
Oh, let me explain. One of the orders was that I was to go into the church.
At your own desire.
Exactly. But I should not have been indulged. I was too young. How did I know it was good for me? I put it to you as one man to another. Do I look like an archbishop?
Stuff, sir.
Oh, as you say, nothing could be more idiotic. You ought to have known better. No, the church is not in my line. Nature intended me for the stage. The unreal mockery here it was practicing Macduff with me when you came in. And now, what I want to know is, can you get me an engagement? As your ward, I have the right to expect that of you. You must know lots of people who could give me a start. And there's another thing, very important. By the way, won't you sit down? Excuse me for keeping you standing all this time. Macduff, a chair?
You are too good.
Don't mention it. Well, you know, I want to have some good home influence to steady me. You see, you can't steady me. You're too much occupied here with your shop. Besides, you may shake loose a leg yourself occasionally, for all the public knows, eh? Even if you are virtuous, I should probably lead you astray. No, what I want is a wife. Not a young woman, mind you. Someone old enough to be my mother, say 30 or so. I adore a mature woman. Not old enough to be your mother, you understand, old enough to be my mother. I attach some importance to that distinction. So be good enough to bear it in mind. One mustn't overdo these notions.
Mr. Mercer, will you be good enough to make a careful note of this gentleman's requirements? An engagement at a leading theatre to play Macbeth, and a wife of quiet habits and grave disposition. Anything else, Mr. Brabazon?
Not today, thank you. And now I know better than to take up the time of a busy man. Happy to make your acquaintance. So long. Ta-ta, Macduff.
What do you mean by letting in this lunatic, Mr. Mercer? I'm extremely annoyed.
I didn't let him in, my lord. He came in. I was keeping him from you at the risk of my life when you came in to ask what the noise was.
My faithful Mercer.
Oh, my honoured master.
We were happy together until this man came between us.
Let us try to forget him, my lord. Oh, my lord, he's left his walking stick behind. He'll return for it. Let us fly.
Nonsense, Mercer. We have no aeroplane, and if we had, we shouldn't know how to use it. Hark, a visitor at the door. Tell him we have both gone out.
Useless, my lord. He's a man of strong reasoning powers. He would conclude on hearing our voices that we were both within.
Is anybody there? Let me in.
That is the voice of a young and probably beautiful woman.
It is, my lord.
Why the dickens don't you open the door instead of striking melodramatic attitudes? How dare you keep the lady waiting? I'm very much annoyed.
I'm sorry, my lord.
Is this the Lord Chancellor's?
Yes.
Sir Cardonius Boshington's?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the Lord Chancellor?
No, ma'am. Leastways, not yet.
What are you?
I am the Lord Chancellor's...
Secretary?
Well, hardly that, ma'am. If you ask me, I should say I was a sort of what you might call a clerk valet to his lordship.
Are you a gentleman?
Oh, well, that's a poser, miss, really. I'm in the manner of speaking a gentleman.
In what manner of speaking are you a gentleman?
Well, miss, I'm a gentleman to my tobacconist. Every man is a gentleman to his tobacconist. The parliamentary candidate for Hornsey always addresses me as a gentleman, but then he ain't particular, leastways not at election times. You see, miss, there are 3 classes of gentry in this country.
Only 3?
Only 3, ma'am.
How do you tell one from the other?
Well, you tell by the railway porters, miss. The real upper class gives them a shilling. the upper middle class sixpence and the lower middle twopence. I give twopence myself.
And which particular class of gentlemen is it, pray, that gives a lady a chair?
Oh, I'm sure. I beg your pardon, miss.
Thanks. And now you will be good enough to tell Sir Cardonius Boshington that Miss Anastasia Volamir wishes to see him?
Miss Anastasia Vulyami, my lord, to see you.
Do you mean to tell me that this old man in livery is the great Chancellor?
At your service, Miss Vulyami.
Quite impossible. I have here an article on Sir Cardonius, headed Our Great Chancellor, and the description does not correspond in the least. No man of our time has succeeded in tempering the awe inspired by a commanding stature and majestic presence with a love and confidence which even the youngest and most timid ward of the court feels at the sound of his kindly voice and the encouraging beam twinkling with humor of its tender grey eyes. Do you mean to tell me that's you?
No, it is not for me to say how far the description is an accurate or a happy one, madam, but I believe I am the person intended by the writer.
Perhaps you'd recognise this better, Miss. Sir Cardonius and me is on opposite sides of politics.
How much longer will the nation allow this despicable pantaloon to occupy the woolsack? What's the woolsack?
Well, what the Lord Chancellor sits on in the House of Lords, miss.
Whose contents only too strongly resemble those of his own head. That's a nasty one, you know, isn't it? It means that your brains are woolly, doesn't it?
Its meaning is entirely beneath my notice. I'm surprised, Mercer, to find you in possession of a scurrilous rag of this character. We may differ in our opinions, but if any paper taken in by me were to speak of you in such unbecoming terms, I should never open it again.
Well, my lord, politics is politics. And after all, what is politics if it isn't showing up the other side? When I pay a penny for a paper, I've a right to get value for my money, the same as any other man.
But I don't understand. Are you a despicable pantaloon? The other paper says your name will be cherished by the warm hearts of the English people when Eldon and Sir Thomas More are forgotten. I thought that whatever is in the papers must be true. How do you explain being a great chancellor and a despicable pantaloon at the same time?
I take it that the excellent journal from which you first quoted has put all other considerations of party aside and simply endeavored to place before you a dispassionate estimate of such modest services as I have been able to render my country. The other paper gives you nothing but the vituperative ravings of an illiterate penny-a-liner blinded by party passion.
You should never read more than one paper, miss. It unsettles the mind, let alone the waste of a penny.
Well, it's a great relief to me to hear that the great chancellor paper is the right one. You think I may believe everything it says?
I trust I shall not disappoint any favorable opinion you may have founded on it.
It says here that though you are stern with the worthless and merciless to the impostor, yet your mature wisdom and unparalleled legal knowledge are freely at the service of all deserving persons, and that no distressed suitor has ever been turned away empty from your door.
That refers to my private house, madam. I don't keep food here.
I have a sandwich for my lunch, miss. Sooner than send you away empty, I would give it to you, miss, most joyfully.
I ask not charity, but justice.
Madam, I must request you to speak like a lady and not like a procession of the unemployed. The House of Lords always gives charity and never gives justice.
The House of Lords will find itself unemployed one of these days, if you ask me.
Silence, Mercer. Have the goodness to keep your radicalism to yourself in the presence of this lady.
Why do you allow your clerk to be a radical?
Well, madam, to make him a conservative and an imperialist, I should have to raise his salary very considerably. And I prefer to save money and put up with a radical.
You'll excuse me asking you all these questions, but as I've decided, after what the paper says, that you are the man to advise me and be a father to me, it's very important that you should be quite all right, isn't it?
It's not my business to be a father to every young lady who walks into my office.
Not your business. Why, Whittaker's Almanac says you get £5,000 a year. You don't get that for nothing, I suppose. By the way, Whittaker doesn't say how much you get.
Well, I get 150.
150 into 5,000 goes about 33 times. Why does he get 33 times as much as you? Is he 33 times as good?
He thinks so.
I set up no such ridiculous pretension, Mercer.
Perhaps you're 33 times as sober. How much do you drink every day?
I'm almost a teetotaler. A single bottle of Burgundy is quite sufficient for me.
Then I suppose you drink 33 bottles of Burgundy a day.
33 bottles of Burgundy a day, or 150 a year? Huh, not me. It hardly runs to beer on Sundays.
Well, there must be something awfully wrong about you, you know, if you get only the 33rd of what he gets.
No, madam. Mercer is an excellent man in his proper place.
Then there must be something awfully right about you.
I hope so.
I don't see the difference myself.
Well, he is better fed.
Is he? I should have thought he was too red about the nose to be quite healthy. It's the Burgundy, I expect. However, I didn't come here to talk about you two. Call it selfish, if you will, but I came to talk about myself. The fact is, I'm an orphan. At least, I think I am.
Don't you know?
No, I was brought up in what you might politely call a sort of public institution. They found me on the doorstep, you know. Might have happened to anybody, mightn't it?
And you have the audacity to come here and talk up to us as if you was a lady? Be off with you and be ashamed of yourself, you hussy.
Gently, Mercer, gently. It's not the poor girl's fault.
Not her fault. Why, she ain't anybody's daughter. She's only an offspring.
Perhaps I'm his daughter, my lord.
Oh, you wicked girl. You naughty story, you. Oh, that I should have lived to have this accusation brought against me. Me, a respectable man.
I had a feeling the moment I saw you.
The voice of nature. Oh, Mercer, Mercer.
I'll have the law on you for this, I will. Oh, say you don't believe her, my lord. Don't drive me mad. Say you don't believe her.
I can't disregard the voice of nature, Mercer. The evidence against you is very black.
Me? The father of a common girl found on a workhouse doorstep?
How dare you presume to say such a thing? A workhouse doorstep indeed. I was found on the doorstep of one of the very best houses in Park Lane.
My dear young lady, how can I apologize?
Well, I'm sure. I beg your pardon most humbly, miss.
Forget the rudeness of my clerk. He knows no better. Resume your seat, I beg.
If I had only known, miss. Park Lane. I could bite my tongue out for my bad manners, I do assure you.
Say no more. Of course you could not know my social position.
But don't say that, miss. You have Park Lane in every feature.
In your manners.
In your accent.
In your tone.
Address.
Je ne sais quoi.
Tout ensemble.
You speak French?
Not a word, miss. But at the sight of that hat, the French fairly burst out of me.
You are very good.
Oh, no.
Don't mention it.
Don't begin again. I forgive you both. Now, attention. I'm a good-hearted but somewhat flighty girl, and as I require some serious interest in life to steady me, as I had an ungovernable appetite and was naturally rather inclined to be stout, I tried politics. For you, a man, politics meant the House of Lords. For me, a woman, politics meant Holloway Jail and the hunger strike. I refused to take food until I was so frightfully hungry that when the governor, who was a plump, chubby, tempting sort of man, you know, came into my cell and remonstrated with me, I attempted to devour him.
Pardon me. I thought you suffragist slabs prided yourself on acting always on principle. On what principle, may I ask, do you justify an attempt to devour an estimable public official?
On the cat and mouse principle, my lord. That is a part of the law of England.
Never. Not when the woman is a cat.
May I ask, madam, what the unfortunate mouse did on this occasion?
He got quite angry and said he wouldn't have me in his prison another minute. Not if I went down on my knees and begged him to let me stay. Of course, I refused to go, but I had to let the poor man have his way at last, though it took 10 wardresses to persuade me to do it. I left them simply in ribbons, poor things. Prison made a great change in me. Before I went in, I felt a great want of something to love. But when I came out, I felt nothing but a great want of something to eat. There were 2 public houses near the prison. One had a placard up, sausage and mashed. The other, sandwich and small Lloyd George. I visited both in succession and had 2 goes of each delicacy. I then drove to the Holborn restaurant and had a 5-shilling lunch, stopping at 3 Pierce and Plenty's on the way to sustain exhausted nature. At the Holborn, they refused to serve me with a second lunch, so I went on to the Carlton. Of my subsequent experiences at the Savoy, Pajani's, Frascati's, Gatti's, 5-baked potato men, and a coffee stall, I shall say nothing. Suffice it that when at last the craving for food was stilled, the craving for love returned in all its original force. I felt I must have something to cherish, to sacrifice myself for. You no doubt hold that self-sacrifice is a woman's chief amusement.
Certainly I do.
Any man would. Well, what was I to love? My friends recommended marriage, a man, in fact, but I hesitated to rush at once to so expensive and troublesome an extreme. I tried a pet dog, but when it had been stolen for the 6th time by the man I bought it from, I refused to pay any more rewards, and we were parted forever. I tried a cat, but its conduct was so disreputable that I really could not live in the same house with it. I adopted the orphan child of a crossing sweeper who was run over. But when its aunt learned that I had no parents, she would not permit it to stay. Glad as I must confess I was to get rid of the little beast, my starved heart still ached. My empty arms still longed to gather some beloved object to my breast.
If I can be of any service to you, madam.
You? You are married, are you not?
Yes, I am married.
Well, I'm sorry, miss, but so am I. Still, divorce would be a matter of only £80 or so if we made it a fairly straight case.
Never shall it be said that Anastasia Williamy built her happiness on the ruin of another woman's house. There are other younger and handsomer men than you, my lord. There are more genteel characters than Mercer. Neither of you, if I may be allowed the expression, is precisely what I should call a peach. And I want a peach. You must be a young peach. Not that I am to be seduced by the fleeting charms of a smooth cheek and a slim figure, but it's a necessity of my position as a woman that I should marry someone whom I can bully. Because if a woman can't bully her husband generally bullies her. You will, my lord, you can. Find me a young and foolish man. Into my arms, under my thumb, let him come, let him come. I fear I am almost dropping into poetry, but the tumult of my emotions carries me away. I implore you not to keep me waiting. My soul is thrilling as it never thrilled before. My arms are longing as they never longed before. My heart is beating as it never beat before. Every nerve in my body, every fiber in my...
Excuse me, I left my stick, I think.
He has come, the very thing I want.
Quite out of the question, my dear lady. Sir Cardonius will tell you that you are too young, too irresponsible, and too impulsive to be anything more to me than an extremely agreeable object of contemplation and a charming hostess. With that object, may I venture to propose a marriage to you?
Silly! That is exactly what I am proposing to you.
Not marriage to the same person, I think. You, as I understand it, propose to marry me. I propose that you should marry one of my friends. You can invite me to your house and put on your best company manners for my benefit. And he will have the privilege of paying for your hats and enjoying your no company manners.
My lord, this man has a giant intellect.
It will avail him as little as if he were the biggest fool in creation. Young man, you are lost. I argued as you do. I tried to get out of it.
I moved all the way from Gospel Oak to Islington to escape, but it was no use.
Beware how you anger her by showing reluctance. Remember, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
What's the good of that nowadays? When that was written, a woman would take no for an answer. She won't now.
You will begin walking out with me at once. You are only on approval, of course, but if you suit, you may consider next Friday, 3 weeks named as the day.
But where does the merit come for me? Where is the moral discipline? Where is the self-sacrifice? You are an agreeable person. To marry you would be an act of pure selfishness.
So you think now, dearest. You won't think that a year hence. I'll take care of that for my own boy.
Yes, but look here, have you got any money?
Not a rap.
And you expect to get a slave for nothing? What cheek!
I'm richer than you think, darling. It's true that I'm a poor, penniless orphan. Doesn't that touch you?
Not in the least.
Thoughtless boy. Have you forgotten that the women who have money always belong to some family or other?
Well?
Well, a family means relations. You can't call your house your own. The brothers borrow money, the sisters come and stay for months, the mothers quarrels with your mother.
Gospel truth, every word of it.
Undeniable.
I, my love, am not perfect. I am a weak woman. I have nothing to cling to but your love, nor any place to rest except your very becoming fancy waistcoat. But at least I'm a foundling.
Foundling?
I haven't a relation in the world.
Mine, mine, mine.
And curtain. Okay. Another, let's see. Yeah, let's start again at two, well, let's say 220. All right.
Very good.
Thank you, everybody. That blasted wig was itching me like crazy.
Oh, no.
It looks
That was devotion beyond the call of duty, David.
I'm glad my microphone was off when I was off stage because, David, your delivery of the line, yes, I am married,
Yeah.
like sent me like giving a spit take with this water here. Oh.
Good job, guys. That was fun.
Another silly Billy.
So are these, I didn't know these things were actually called tomfooleries. They're like,
Well, that one is there's a collection of his plays that they're shorts that he calls Tomfooleries. The first one, I think, was meant to accompany the play Candida, which is why they mention it. They mention Candida in it.
but am I right? There was another version of that without the references to Candida?
Oh, there might be. There's probably a lot of versions because of the way Shaw does his copyrights.
I just love the idea that he wrote the play, then Candida came out. Candida got an uproar. He just said, I can stick this in that play and have some fun.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the order, but that would be funny. You know?
I'm making a note of this. I gotta read these things. Tomfooleries, the short plays. Okay. I lost everybody. Oh, there you all are.
We're all lost.
We're lost out here in the stars.
Mhm.
Is that beautiful weather out there? We got a nice one here.
Well, right now we're getting that Indian summer, so it got cooler in September, and now we've got the like hot breath of, summer's last dying thing, which always happens at the beginning of October. So it's like gonna be in the high 80s today.
Oh man.
Now, we're in the 80s, low 80s, or just past 80 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had a couple of under 50s, so.
Oh, it's under 50 every night here, every day of the year.
I expect that out there.
Yeah. So like today, it's almost going to be 90, but this morning it was 47.
Oh.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but remind me where you live exactly. It's Oregon, right?
No, it's California, but north of San Francisco, about an hour north of San Francisco in Sonoma County.
Okay, wine country, right?
Yeah.
How far out are you from San Francisco?
Huh?
How far from San Francisco are you?
About an hour drive north.
Not bad.
No. Yeah. Speaking of wine, there's supposed to be a guy that's supposed to be coming and harvesting our grapes, and he hasn't come yet because I don't know. We hadn't got the bricks up, which is the sugar content, but I don't know how they are now. No one has come to take care of them, so I hope they don't rot and desiccate.
You guys have a vineyard? Your family?
No, just vines in the back, like 100 individual vines. Sort of.
How much wine does that give you?
A few gallons, and then we, bottle them to like a few cases, a case or two.
How is it?
It has been very good.
Really?
We grow half Cab, half Merlot. This year we're gonna have less because one of the Cab sections got a blight, so we had to replant them, and only one of that whole series is producing grapes yet because we planted it 2 years ago, so it'll be a lot less. But
Wow, so you actually know how to make wine?
me personally, no. My family does though.
You make mead, right?
I make certain things. I have in the past. Right now, I've just been infusing liquors. I made my own absinthe the other day, actually.
Oh.
Because I grew my own wormwood this year. And
Okay, what's wormwood? I'm a city boy.
Wormwood is the bittering agent from which absinthe gets its name. Artemisia absinthium is what wormwood is called. And it's the thing that would have possibly a hallucinogenic qualities if you drink enough of it, but you'd probably get alcohol poisoning before you hallucinated.
Yeah, but it'd be a great high, man.
Yeah,
that was a problem in 19th century Paris. They had absinthe fiends.
Yeah, and part of the problem is the wine industry wanted to malign them because no one was drinking French wine anymore because all the French people were drinking absinthe. But the other problem was that people were brewing it themselves, and so like put things like copper and poisonous things into their absinthe brews to make it green. So there's a lot of complicated nastiness with the absinthe industry in the 19th century.
Oh, excuse me, folks.
So how are you doing casting wise now for Henry IV?
I'm about 2/3 of the way there, I think.
Oh, good.
Almost. It's this is one of the things I have to wait on is to see if Jeffrey's going to be able to do Falstaff.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, then we want to give it to Tony Scheinman. So
yeah,
that's Stephen's taking care of that.
Okay, good. Well, because as soon as you know who you'll have the Falstaff, then you could tell me who you're casting as Northumberland.
That's one of the ones that's up in the air still.
Yeah.
Because if Tony doesn't do Falstaff, he'll do Northumberland.
Right.
Hopefully he will.
Yeah, I hope so.
Stephen.
I hope he's available for Richard II then too.
Yeah, I hope so. Because he has more to do in that play than he does in the Henry.
Yeah, he's got more scenes and stuff. He's got better speeches in the Henry IV plays, but
yeah,
he has a big role in the deposition.
Like chief henchman,
Yeah.
So then my biggest problem is what to do about Lady Mortimer, because Clemmy can't do it. Mitchell Goldstein, who did it once before, is not available to do it. And I don't know anybody else who speaks Welsh. So mean, Welsh. I mean, we're gonna.
It's really inconvenient for Shakespeare to have written in the script speaks in Welsh instead of writing out the Welsh words he wanted spoken.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think what we're gonna have to do is just have a presence there and assume that.
Thanks, Asher.
Assume that she's speaking Welsh. Just carry on from there. You know, the problem is finding something else for her to do so that she doesn't have to spend an afternoon, evening in this case, just sitting around to pose as Lady Mortimer.
Right.
Well, don't forget, Falstaff doesn't have to be fat, and he can be bald.
Oh, you pardon?
Falstaff doesn't have to be fat, and he can be bald.
True. I
Ben,
know.
aren't you reading another
He
role?
doesn't take a hint, does he?
No.
Ben is the king.
Oh, I am?
Don't forget it. I have the word from what's his name? Oh God, it's gone for a second. It's good to be the king. As
When is it this Henry IV, by the way?
I beg your pardon?
When is this? When is Henry IV?
Henry IV is 2 evenings. It's the evening of November. First part is November 19th in the evening.
Oh,
October.
Excuse me, what I was saying, the 17th in the evening. And then the following Thursday, the 21st is part 2.
This is October too. You said November.
October.
October, both of them. The reason that the Sunday one is in the evening is because Sean Buckley, who is playing Prince Hal, cannot do the afternoon. So we're doing an evening reading that day.
Hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. Deb's going to be mad at me. I think she wants to rehearse. Okay. The 17th and the 21st, you need me for both of those?
You're the king, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Molto importante. Plus, I think you also appear. Plus, also Bolingbroke and Richard II.
When is that?
It's the day before the 16th.
It's the previous.
It's the day before this 10/16.
It's the 16th. That's why I can't do it because I'm reading Mademoiselle Odisse that day for Alice.
At 1 p.m.
Oh, yeah, the play. Oh, Alice, we're starting at 10 a.m. or something like that, 10 to 30.
And maybe you'll be done and you could Zoom from Opera America.
No, I offered to help with the auditions afterward too.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that'll be kind of exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just not in the cards. That's fine. You know, I don't have to do them all.
No, I'm not doing them all either. I was going to do the Dauphin in Henry VI Part 1, but I'm no longer available that day. So right now I'm doing.
What does that do to you for doing the Dauphin? And
I don't think I've been taken out of the entire track because I can't do it once as punishment, if that's what you're asking. But
yeah, I haven't heard anything more from Alex on all that yet.
Yeah, it's Virginia Hammer is doing the Henry VI Part 1. So I emailed her and said I can't.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear about a couple things. I mean, Mark Gehring said he would use me, and we got to get going. It's after the time. Mark Gehring said that he would use me and Edward II and what the other one he's doing, but I haven't heard anything official yet. So.
Quickly, guys, before we start, again, October 16th, 1 p.m., October 17th, 7 p.m., October 21st, 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
You got those 3 dates and times? Those are
1, 7, and 7, yeah.
And I got the right dates.
And you have the right date.
Okay, thank you. I just want to alert Deb.
I'll email you too with more information about my reading.
Talking to me?
Yeah, because that's Henry. I'm doing Henry VI. I'm doing Richard II. He's doing Henry IV.
Anna, you're here, right? Anna, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
She's waiting. I'll go.
All right. I again will read the opening paragraph to start. This is Augustus Does His Bit, one of the war plays of war that were written by Shaw during the First World War, and but this one is meant to be fun. Okay. The mayor's office in the town of Little Pifflington. Lord Augustus Highcastle, a distinguished member of the governing class, in the uniform of a colonel and very well preserved at 45, is comfortably seated in a writing table with his heels on it, reading the Morning Post. The door faces him, a little to his left, at the other side of the room. The window is behind him. In the fireplace, a gas stove. On the table, a bell button and a telephone. Portraits of past mayors in robes and gold chains adorn the walls. An elderly clerk with a short white beard and whiskers and a very red nose shuffles in.
Hello? Who are you?
The staff.
You the staff? What do you mean, man?
But I say, there ain't anybody else.
Tush, where are the others?
At the front.
Quite right, most proper. Why aren't you at the front?
Over age, 67.
Well, but you can still do your bit. Many an older man is in the GRs or volunteering for home defense.
I have volunteered.
Well, then why aren't you in uniform?
I said they wouldn't have me if I was given away with a pound of tea. Told me to go home and not be an old silly. Young Bill Knight that I took with me got 2 and 7pence. I got nothing. Is it justice? This country is going to the dogs, if you ask me.
I do not ask you, sir, and I will not allow you to say such things in my presence. Our statesmen are the greatest known in history. Our generals are invincible. Our army is the greatest, is the admiration of the world. Now, how dare you tell me that the country is going to the dogs?
Why did they give young Bill Knight 2 and 7pence and not give me even my tram fare? Do you call that being straight statesman? It's good as robbing me, I say.
Well, that's enough. Leave the room and send me the secretary.
I'm the secretary. I can't leave the room and send myself to you at the same time, can I?
Don't be insolent. Where's the gentleman I've been corresponding with, Mr. Horatio Floyd Beamish?
Here, me.
You? Ridiculous. What right have you to call yourself by a pretentious name of that sort?
You may drop the Horatio Floyd. Beamish is good enough for me.
Is there no one else to take my instructions?
And it's me or nobody. With 2 pins, I'd chuck it. Don't you drive me too far. Old uns like me is up in the world now.
If we were not at war, I should discharge you on the spot for disrespectful behavior. But England is in danger, and I cannot think of my personal dignity at such a moment. Now, don't think of yours either, worm that you are, or I shall have you arrested under the offence of the Realm Act. Double quick.
What do I care about the realm? They've done me at a 2 and 7.
Oh, damn your 2 and 7. Did you receive my letters?
Yes.
And I addressed a meeting here last night and went straight to the platform from the train. I wrote to you that I should expect you to be present and report yourself. Why did you not do so?
The police wouldn't let me on the platform.
Well, did you tell them who you were?
They knew who I was. That's why they wouldn't let me up.
This is too silly for anything. This town wants waking up. I made the best recruiting speech I ever made in my life, and not a man joined.
What do you expect? You told them our gallant fellows is falling at the rate of 1,000 a day in the big push. Dying for little Pifflington, you says. Come and take their places, you says. That ain't the way to recruit.
But I expressly told them that their widows would have pensions.
I heard you. Would have been all right if it had been the widows you wanted to get round.
Oh, this town is inhabited by dastards. I say with full sense of responsibility, dastards. They call themselves Englishmen and they're afraid to fight.
Afraid to fight? You should see them on a Saturday night.
Well, yes, they fight one another, but they won't fight the Germans.
They got grudges against one another. How can they have grudges against the Huns that they never saw? They've no imagination. If that's what it is, bring the Uns here and they'll quarrel with them fast enough.
Well, they're going to have them here if they're not careful. Have you carried out my orders about the war savings?
Yes,
And the allowance of petrol has been reduced by 3/4?
it has.
And you have told the motor car people to come here and arrange to start munitions work now that their motor business is stopped.
It ain't stopped. They're busier than ever,
Busy at what?
making small cars.
New cars?
The old cars do 12 miles to the gallon. Everybody has to have a car that will do 35 now.
But can't they take the train?
There ain't no trains now. They've torn up the rails and sent them to the front.
Dah,
Well, we have to get about somehow.
this is perfectly monstrous, not in the least what I intended.
Hell,
Sir,
they say, is paved with good intentions.
do you mean to insinuate that hell is paved with my good intentions, with the good intentions of His Majesty's government?
I don't mean to insinuate anything until the Defence of the Realm Act is repealed. It ain't safe.
They told me that this town had set an example to all England in the matter of economy. I came down here to promise the mayor, a knighthood for his exertions.
The mayor? Where do I come in?
You don't come in, you go out. This is a fool of a place. I'm greatly disappointed, deeply disappointed, disgusted.
What more can we do? We shut up everything. The picture gallery is shut. The museum is shut. The theatres and the picture shows are shut. I haven't seen a movie picture for 6 months.
Man, do you want to see picture shows when the Hun is at the gate?
I don't now, though it drove me melancholy mad at first. I was on the point of taking a pennyworth of rat poison.
Well, why didn't you?
Because a friend advised me to take to drink instead. That saved my life. Though it makes me very poor company in the mornings, as perhaps you've noticed.
Upon my soul, you are not ashamed to stand there and confess yourself a disgusting drunkard.
Well, what of it? We're at war now and everything has changed. Besides, I should lose my job here if I stood drinking at the bar. I'm a respectable man and must buy my drink and take it home with me. And they won't serve me with less than a quart. If you told me before the war that I could get through a quart of whiskey in a day, I shouldn't have believed you. That's the good of war. It brings out powers in a man that he never suspected he was capable of. You said so yourself in a speech last night.
I didn't know that I was talking to an imbecile. You should be ashamed of yourself. There must be an end of this drunken slacking. I'm going to establish a new order of things here. I shall come down every morning before breakfast until things are properly entrained. Have a cup of coffee and 2 rolls for me every morning at 10:30.
You can't have rolls. The only baker that baked rolls was a Hun, and he's been interred.
Quite right, too. And was there no Englishman to take his place?
There was, but he was caught spying, and they took him up to London and shot him.
Shot an Englishman?
Mm. Well, it stands to reason. If the Germans wanted a spy, they wouldn't employ a German. Everybody would suspect, don't it?
Do you mean to say, you scoundrel, that an Englishman is capable of selling his country to the enemy for gold?
Not as a general thing, I wouldn't say it. But there's men here who would sell their own mothers for 2 coppers if they got the chance.
Beamish, it is an ill bird that fouls its own nest.
It wasn't me that let little Pifflington get foul. I don't belong to the governing classes. I only tell you why you can't have no rolls.
Look, can you tell me where I can find an intelligent being to take my orders?
One of the street sweepers used to teach in the school until it was shut up for the sake of economy. Will he do?
What? You mean to tell me that when the lives of the gallant fellows in our trenches and the fate of the British Empire depend on our keeping up the supplies of shells, you are wasting money on sweeping the streets?
We have to. We dropped it for a while, but the infant death rate went up something frightful.
Well, what matters the death rate of little Pifflington in a moment like this? Think of our gallant soldiers, not your squalling infants.
If you want soldiers, you must have children. You can't buy them in boxes like toy soldiers.
Beamish, the long and the short of it is you are no patriot. Now go downstairs to your office and have that gas stove taken away and replaced by an ordinary grate. The Board of Trade has urged on me the necessity for economizing gas.
Our orders from the Minister of Munitions is to use gas instead of coal because it saves material. Which is it to be?
Both! Don't criticize your orders, obey them. Yours is not to reason why. Yours but to do and die. That's war. Have you anything else to say?
Yes, I want to rise.
A rise? Horatio Floyd Beamish, do you know that we are at war?
I have noticed something about it in the papers. Heard you mention it once or twice now I come to think of it.
Our gallant fellows are dying in the trenches and you want to rise.
What are they dying for? To keep me alive, ain't it? Well, what's the good of it that if I'm dead of hunger by the time they come back?
Everyone else is making sacrifices without a thought of self. And you come to me.
Where's the baker's sacrifice? Where's the coal merchants? Where's the butchers? Charging me double. That's how they sacrifice themselves. Well, I want to sacrifice myself that way too. Just double next Saturday, double. And not a penny less or no secretary for you.
Well, go, you miserable pro-German.
Who are you calling a pro-German?
Another word and I charge you under the act with discouraging me. Now go. Hello? Yes, who are you? Oh, Blulu, is it? Yeah, yes, there's nobody in the room. Fire away. What? A spy? A woman? Yes, brought it down with me. But do you suppose I'm such a fool as to let it out of my hands? Well, it gives a list of all our anti-aircraft emplacements from Ramsgate to Skegness. The Germans would give $1 million for it at... What? But how could she possibly know about it? No, I haven't mentioned it to a soul, except, of course, dear Lucy. Oh, Toto and Lady Popham and that lot. Well, they don't count. They're all right. I mean, I haven't mentioned it to any Germans. Oh, pooh, don't you be nervous, old chap. I know you think me a fool, but I am not such a fool as that. Now, if she tries to get it out of me, I shall have her in the tower before you ring up again. Oh, somebody's just come in. Ring off. Goodbye.
Are you engaged?
Now, what business is that of yours? However, if you will take the trouble to read the society papers for this week, you will see that I am engaged to the Honourable Lucy Popham, the youngest daughter of...
I mean, can you see a female?
Well, of course I can see a female as easily as a male. Do you suppose I'm blind?
You don't seem to follow me somehow. There's a female downstairs, what you might call a lady. She wants to know, can you see her if I let her up?
Or do you mean, am I disengaged? Well, tell the lady I have just received news of the greatest importance, which will occupy my entire attention for the rest of the day, and that she must write for an appointment.
I'll ask her to explain her business to me. I ain't above talking to a handsome female when I get the chance.
Stop. Does she appear to be a person of consequence?
A regular marchioness, if you ask me.
Beautiful, did you say?
A human chrysanthemum, sir, believe me.
Well, it will be extremely inconvenient for me to see her, but the country is in danger and we must not consider our own comfort. Think how our gallant fellows are suffering in the trenches. Show her up. Stop whistling instantly, sir. This is not a casino.
Ain't it? Just you wait till you see her. Here she is. May I offer you a chair, lady?
Be seated, madam.
Are you Lord Augustus Highcastle?
Yes, madam, I am.
The great Lord Augustus.
I should not dream of describing myself so, madam, but no doubt I have impressed my countrymen and, may I say, my countrywomen, as having some exceptional claims to their consideration.
Of course you have.
Well, what you hear, madam, is the voice of my country, which now takes a sweet and noble tone, even in the harsh mouth of high officialdom.
Please go on. You express yourself so wonderfully.
And it would be strange indeed if, after sitting on 37 royal commissions, mostly as chairman, I had not mastered the art of public expression. Even the radical papers have paid me the high compliment of declaring that I am never more impressive than when I have nothing to say.
I never read the radical papers. All I can tell you is that what we women admire in you is not the politician, but the man of action, the heroic warrior, the beau sabreur.
Madam, I beg you, please. My military exploits are not a pleasant subject, unhappily.
Oh, I know. How shamefully you've been treated. What ingratitude. But the country is with you. The women are with you. Oh, do you think all our hearts did not throb and all our nerves trill when we heard how, when you were ordered to occupy that terrible quarry in Hullock, and you swept into it at the head of your men like a sea god riding on a tidal wave, you suddenly sprang over the top shouting, "To Berlin, forward!" dashed at the German army single-handed, and were cut off and made prisoner by the Huns.
Yes, madam. And what was my reward? They said I had disobeyed my orders and sent me home. Have they forgotten Nelson in the Baltic? Has any British battle ever been won except by bold initiative? I say nothing of professional jealousy. It exists in the army as elsewhere. But it is a bitter thought to me that the recognition denied me by my country, or rather by the radical cabal in the cabinet, which pursues my family with rancorous class hatred, that this recognition, I say, came to me at the hands of an enemy, of a rank Prussian.
Oh.
How else should I be here instead of starving to death in the Ruhleben? Yes, madam, the colonel of the Pomeranian regiment which captured me, after learning what I had done and conversing for an hour with me on European politics and military strategy, declared that nothing would induce him to deprive my country of my services and set me free. I offered, of course, to procure the release in exchange of a German officer of equal quality, but he would not hear of it. He was kind enough to say that he could not believe that a German officer answering to that description existed. I had my first taste of the ingratitude of my own country as I made my way back to our lines. A shot from our front trench struck me in the head. I still carry the flattened projectile as a trophy. Yeah. And the noise, had it penetrated to the brain, I might never have sat on another royal commission. Well, fortunately, we have strong heads, we high castles. Nothing has ever penetrated to our brains.
How thrilling, how simple, and how tragic. But will you forgive England? Remember England. Forgive her.
It will make no difference whatever to my services to my country. Though she slay me, yet will I, if not exactly trust in her, at least take my part in her government. I am ever at my country's call, whether it be the embassy in a leading European capital, a governor generalship in the tropics, or my humble mission here to make little Pifflington do its bit. I am always ready for the sacrifice. Whilst England remains England, wherever there is a public job to be done, you will find a high castle sticking to it. And now, madam, enough of my personal tragic history. You have called on business. What can I do for you?
You have relatives at the Foreign Office, have you not?
Madam, the Foreign Office is staffed by my relatives exclusively.
Has the Foreign Office warned you that you are being pursued by a female spy who's determined to obtain a list of gun emplacements?
All that is perfectly well known to this department, madam.
Who told you? Was it one of your German brothers-in-law?
I have only 3 German brothers-in-law, madam. Really, from your tone, one would suppose that I had several. Pardon my sensitiveness on that subject, but reports are continually being circulated that I have been shot as a traitor in the courtyard of the Ritz Hotel merely because I have German brothers-in-law. If you had a German brother-in-law, madam, you would know that nothing else in the world produces so strong an anti-German feeling. Life affords no keener pleasure than finding a brother-in-law's name in the German casualty list.
Nobody knows that better than I. Wait until you hear what I have come to tell you. You will understand me as no one else could. Listen, this spy, this woman.
Yes?
She is a German, a Hun.
Yes, she would be. Continue.
She is my sister-in-law.
I see you are well connected, madam. Proceed.
Need I add that she is my bitterest enemy?
May I?
Quite so, quite so. Well, she is an intimate friend of your brother at the War Office, Hungerford Highcastle, Blulu, as you called him. I don't know why.
He was originally called the Singing Oyster because he sang drawing room ballads with such an extraordinary absence of expression. He was then called the Blue Point for a season or two, and finally he became Blulu.
Indeed, I didn't know. Well, he is simply infatuated with my sister-in-law. He has rashly let out to her that this list is in your possession. He forgot himself because he was in a towering rage at its being entrusted to you. His language was terrible. He ordered all the guns to be shifted at once.
What on earth did he do that for?
I can't imagine, but this I know. She made a bet with him. She would come down here and obtain possession of that list and get clean away into the street with it. He took the bet on condition that she brought it straight back to him at the War Office.
Good heavens, and do you mean to tell me that Blulu was such a dolt as to believe that she could succeed? Does he take me for a fool?
Oh, impossible. He is jealous of your intellect. The bet is an insult to you. Don't you feel that? After what you've done for our country.
Oh, never mind that. It's the idiocy of the thing that I'll look at. He'll lose his bet and serve him right.
I feel sure you will be able to resist the siren. I warn you, she is very fascinating.
You need have no fear, madam. I hope she will come and try it on. Fascination is a game that two can play at. For centuries, the younger sons of the high castles have had nothing to do but fascinate attractive females when they were not sitting on the royal commissions or on duty at the Knightsbridge barracks. By gad, madam, if the siren comes here, she will meet her match.
You're that. But if she fails to seduce you...
Oh, madam.
From your allegiance.
Oh, that.
She will resort to fraud, to force, to anything. She will burgle your office. She will have you attacked and garroted at night in the street.
Pooh, I am not afraid.
Oh, your courage will only tempt you into danger. She may get the list after all. It is true that the guns are moved, but she would win her bet.
You did not say that the guns were moved. You said that Blulu had ordered them to be moved.
That is the same thing, isn't it?
Not quite, at the War Office. No doubt those guns will be moved, possibly even before the end of the war.
You think they are there still? But if the German War Office gets the list, and she will copy it before she gives it back to Blulu, you may depend on it. All is lost.
Well, I should not go as far as that. Will you swear to me not to repeat what I'm going to say to you? For if the British public knew that I had said it, I should be at once hounded down as pro-German.
Be silent as the grave. I swear it.
Well, our people have for some reason made up their minds that the German War Office is everything that our War Office is not. That it carries promptitude, efficiency, and organization to a pitch of completeness and perfection that must be, in my opinion, destructive to the happiness of the staff. My own view, which you are pledged to remember not to betray, is that the German War Office is no better than any other war office. I found that opinion on my observation of the characters of my brothers-in-law, one of whom, by the way, is on the German General Staff. I'm not at all sure that this list of gun emplacements would receive the smallest attention. You see, there are always so many more important things to be attended to, family matters and so on, you understand.
Still, if a question were asked in the House of Commons.
The great advantage of being at war, madam, is that nobody takes the slightest notice of the House of Commons. No doubt it is sometimes necessary for a minister to soothe the more seditious members of that assembly by giving a pledge or two, but the War Office takes no notice of such things.
Do you think this list of governments doesn't matter?
By no means, madam. It does. It matters very much indeed. If this spy were to obtain possession of the list, Blue Lou would tell the story at every dinner table in London. And
Of course.
I lose my post. What are you dreaming about, madam? How could I possibly be spared? There are hardly high castles enough at present to fill half the posts created by this war. No. Blue Lou would not go that far. He is at least a gentleman. But I should be chaffed. And frankly, I don't like being chaffed.
Of course not. Who does? You would never do. Oh, never.
But I'm glad you see it in that light. And now, as a matter of security, I shall put that list in my pocket. How's the Dickens today? Well, where the Oh, that I thought I had put it. No, here it is. No, that's Lucy's last letter.
Lucy's last letter. The title for a picture play.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Lucy appeals to the imagination like no other woman. By the way, I wonder, well, could you read this for me? Lucy is a darling girl, but I really can't read her writing. In London, I get the office typist to decipher it and make me a typed copy, but here there's nobody.
It is really almost illegible. I think the beginning is meant for dearest Gus.
Yes, that's what he usually calls me. Please go on.
Oh yes, what a forgetful old something you are. I can't make out the word.
Is it blighter? That's a favorite expression of hers.
I think so. At all events, it begins with a B. What a forgetful old...
Come in. What is this ridiculous mummery, sir?
They passed me. The recruiting officer come for me. I've had my 2 in 7.
Well, I shall not permit it. What do they mean by taking my office staff? Good God, they will be taking our hut servants next. What did the man mean? What did he say?
He said that now you was on the job, we'd want another 1 million men, and he was going to take the old age pensioners or anyone he could get.
And you dare to knock at my door and interrupt my business with this lady to repeat this man's ineptitudes?
No, I come because the waiter from the hotel brought this paper. You left it on the coffee room breakfast table in the morning.
It's the list. It's the list, good heavens.
He says he thinks this is the envelope belonging to it.
Yes, addressed to you, Lord Augustus. How impudent. Everybody would guess its importance with your name on it. Oh, fortunately, I have some letters of my own here. Why not hide it in one of my envelopes? Then no one will dream that the enclosure is of any political value. Get rid of that man.
Have you any further business here, pray?
Am I to give the waiter anything, or will you do it yourself?
Which waiter is it, the English one?
No, the one that calls himself a Swiss. Shouldn't wonder if he made a copy of that paper.
Keep your impertinent surmises to yourself, sir. Remember that you are in the army now, and let me have no more of your civilian insubordination. Attention! Left turn! Quick march!
I don't know what you mean.
Go to the guard room and report yourself for disobeying orders. Now do you know what I mean?
Now look here, I ain't going to argue with you.
Nor I with you. Now out with you.
Ah!
There's the list.
There is no more law for you, scoundrel. You're a soldier now.
There's the list.
Thank heaven the war has given us the upper hand of these fellows at last. Excuse my violence, but discipline is absolutely necessary in dealing with the lower middle classes.
Well, serve the insolent creature right. Look, I have found you a beautiful envelope for the list, an unmistakable lady's envelope.
Well, excellent, excellent. It's really very clever of you. Come, would you like to have a peep at the list?
Oh, no. Oh, please, no.
Why, it won't bite you.
Stop. Remember, if there should be an inquiry, you must be able to swear that you never showed that list to a mortal soul.
Oh, that is mere form, if you really are curious.
I am not. I couldn't bear to look at it. One of my dearest friends was blown to pieces by an aircraft gun, and since then I have never been able to think of one without horror.
You mean it was a real gun? It actually went off? How sad. How sad.
And now, Lord Augustus, I have taken up too much of your valuable time. Goodbye.
What? Must you go?
You're so busy.
Yes, but not before lunch, you know. I never can do much before lunch. And I'm no good at all in the afternoon. From 5 to 6 is my real working time. Must you really go?
I must, really. I have done my business very satisfactorily. Thank you ever so much.
Goodbye. Goodbye. So sorry to lose you. Kind of you to come, but there was no real danger. You see, my dear little lady, all of this talk about war savings, secrecy, and keeping the blinds down at night and so forth, it's all very well, but unless it is carried out with intelligence, believe me, you may waste a pound to save a penny. You may let out all sorts of secrets to the enemy. You may guide the Zeppelins right onto your own chimneys. Now that's where the ability of the governing classes comes in. Shall the fellow call a taxi for you?
No, thanks. I prefer walking. Goodbye. Again, many thanks.
What did you ring for? Don't you come nigh me, or I'll split your head with this poker, thick as it is.
It does not seem to me an exceptionally thick poker. I rang for you to show the lady out.
She's gone. She ran out like a rabbit. I asked myself, why was she in such a hurry?
Lord Augustus! Lord Augustus!
She's calling you.
What is it? Won't you come up?
Is the clock there?
Yes, do you want him?
Yes.
Lady wants you at the window.
Yes, ma'am. Here I am, ma'am. What is it, ma'am?
I want you to witness that I got clean away into the street. I'm coming up now.
Wants me to witness that she got clean away into the street.
What on earth does she mean?
May I use your telephone?
Certainly. What number shall I get you?
War office, please.
The War Office?
You'll be so good.
But, well, very well. Very well, yes. Hello, this is the Town Hall Recruiting Office. Get me Colonel Bogey, sharpish.
I don't think I'm awake. This is a dream of a movie picture, this is.
Shut up, will you? What? Whom do you want to get on to?
Lulu.
Put me through to Lord Hungerford Highcastle. I'm his brother, idiot. Ah, hello, that you, Lulu? Lady here at Little Pifflington wants to speak to you. Hold the line. Now, madam.
That Lulu? Do you recognize my voice? I've won our bet.
Your bet?
Yes, I have the list in my wallet.
Nothing of the kind, madam. I have it here in my pockets.
Oh, yes, I got clean into the street with it. I have a witness. I could have got to London with it. Augustus won't deny it.
There's nothing written on it. Where is the list of guns?
Oh, it was quite easy. I said I was my sister-in-law and that I was a Hun. He lapped it up like a kitten.
You don't mean to say that...
I looked at this for a moment and changed it for a piece of paper out of his stationery rack. It was quite easy.
What?
No, you don't.
What? Oh, yes. I'm coming up by the 135. Why not have tea with me at Rumpelmeister's? Rumpelmeister's. You know, they call it Robinson's now. Right. Ta-ta.
Madam, I consider your conduct most unpatriotic. You make bets and abuse the confidence of the hard-worked officials who are doing their bit for their country whilst our gallant fellows are perishing in the trenches and
Fellows are not all in the trenches, Augustus. Some of them have come home for a few days, hard-earned leave. And I'm sure you won't grudge them a little fun at your expense.
Here, here.
Well, for my country's sake. Yeah. Yeah.
And curtain. Thanks, everybody. Lovely afternoon.
It frightens me that I have so much fun playing these asinine people.
So funny, Ben. Oh my God.
Gotta be something weird about that. Sure, it's diagnosable somewhere. Oh God. Did we do that one as a reading, or did we remember? That was a reading when we did that, right?
Yeah, that was on its feet though. That was our military night, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what we did. What did we do with it? I can't remember. Anyway.
We did that play where we were in some Eastern European country, me and Cody, and I was wooing her like an asshole.
Oh, yes. It was a different
Author.
Wild, and I can't remember the name of the play right now, but it's
And Vicky was the maid.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lady Kate. Oh, Vicky, yeah.
Yeah. That's another fun play. It really is.
Yeah.
Why is
And Ben, like that just reminds me, what is that show, Ben, that you used to like so much?
The Winchester. Hello?
You know, the underling who's so funny. It's like Radar and MASH, but funny.
don't know.
Oh, Radar and MASH. I mean,
Yeah, there's a British version of it where he catches the bullet. There's a bullet with my name on it. What am I thinking of, Ben?
Oh, Blackadder.
Blackadder. Reminds me a little weird. That whole first part of it reminds me of Blackadder.
Yeah.
That relationship, you know.
Colonel, what's his name? Yeah.
Thank you, Kate, for the compliment.
Yeah, that was so fun to watch.
Thank you, Kate. Lovely job.
Whose phone is ringing? Oh, Paul.
It's the host thing.
It was great because it rang just at the wrong time.
Paul, we're done. So if you're there, you can turn off the recording.
He was here.